What's good, everybody? This is your boy Jagging Off the Go to Jags YouTube. 904 to Bold City, Duval. We in the fucking building yet again. Okay, so free agency begins on Wednesday, and while that's usually a time where players find new different players find new teams, there seems to be quite a few former Jags that are hitting the market, whether through free agency or available in trades. So what I decided to do is I compiled a list of former Jags players that are available through free agency or trade that may not necessarily make a ton of sense, but just names thrown out there that we could target, and I'll give my thoughts on each player returning. So, this might bring up some nostalgia for people, and, it might be entertaining. So, I got 10 names here. It's another top 10. I'm going to run through the list, let you know what I would think about the person coming back, and, you guys can sound off in the comments. You don't know how this shit works. But, anyways, let's get to it. First up, I'm going to get this one out of the way really quick. Our good friend Galen over in LA, who some Jags said, like, oh, we must trade for him back. No. Fuck him. No way. No how. Don't need him. Calais Campbell's better. Yeah, I fucking said it. Or not Calais Campbell. Tyson Campbell is better. Jesus Christ. But yeah, anyway, he's better than that piece of shit. And I will pull his eyes out if I ever see this motherfucker. And I hope the next cock he chokes to death on it, you piece of shit, Galen. So, I don't care about his little nice tweets he was doing during the Jags playoff run, or the playoff game versus the Chargers. Yeah, he can go fuck himself. Like, no to Galen. Absolutely not. Anyway, let's keep going. Next up, I have Allen Robinson, who the Rams are actually trying to shop. See, last year, I actually really wanted Allen Robinson. Like, I thought it would have been good for him to come back home. But we ended up getting Christian Kirk and Zay Jones. And Robinson, I don't know. And, I don't know if it's just he didn't fit LA or what. But I'm not sure how much he has left in the tank. So, so realistically, I can't say for certain he'd be an upgrade over Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, or Calvin Ridley. I feel like he could end up being the fourth best receiver on the team, and that's not what we need right now. Not for what we would have to give up for him and what he's making or whatever the fuck. So I think I'm good. So unfortunately, I still like it. I still like Allen Robinson. I hope he gets on a team and does good for himself, but as far as the receivers go, I don't think there's one in free agency that we could pinpoint that's a clear-cut number one receiver. I feel like if we're gonna go for that type of guy, if we're looking to upgrade over Zay, Christian Kirk had 1,000 yards, but he's a slot receiver, and Zay Jones is a nice compliment, but I don't think he's a number one receiver. And Calvin Ridley, if he regains his form, yeah, he is, but will he, and how long is he sticking around is the question. I think if the Jags are going to go in for a number one receiver, I think, we need to part with some draft picks and either get a D-Hop or a T. Higgins or a Stephon Diggs or somebody of that nature. Because unless it's a clear-cut number one receiver, I just don't see the need to even go in for a free agent receiver. Okay. Next up, we have... Yes, I wrote this shit down. Next up, we have... Well, this one's going to be interesting. Yannick Yannick, former defensive end and, was just recently on the Colts, who has been on 4 different teams since he left Jacksonville. I got mixed feelings about this one. On one hand, Jan was one of my favorite players while he was here. Like, I loved the guy. Like, he was absolutely one of my favorite players while he was here. And we definitely need some pass rushing help, which I think he ended up getting 10 sacks over on in the Asperlus, so he would fit that bill. But it's just tough to say for the money. The defense was different when he was here, if he would fit. And after what happened, especially his little Twitter pissing match with Tony Khan, it's just it's tough to say whether he would come back and if we want to deal with that again. I mean, he's not on the level of a shitty locker room guy like Galen was, but I don't know. Like, I wouldn't hate it if he came back, but I'm not necessarily beating down his front door to try and give him a contract to get here, if that makes sense. So, I don't know. I'm torn with him, honestly. Wouldn't mind seeing it, but, you know, not going to hurt my feelings if we don't get him back. So, yeah. Next up, we have DJ Chark, who last year left for the Detroit Lions, signing a one-year deal, and he'll be a free agent now. You know, this is a guy who I really thought had a lot of potential. Like, I had really high hopes for him when we drafted him in 2018. And in 2019, you saw, like, a lot of what he could be if he put it together. Like, I remember I was at, like, the best game of his career when, in Charlotte against the Panthers with my buddy CPG, shout out to him. That game, he had, like, 8 catches for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. That was... Him and Gardner Minshew were really fun to watch together that year. However, I like Allen Robinson at this point in their careers. I just don't think the guy's a number 1 receiver. And also, don't think he'd come back because, you know, he said he wanted a fresh start away from Jacksonville. Well, he's probably going to get a fresh start away from Detroit too. And it probably will not be Jacksonville. So, sorry, DJ. Good luck, my friend. Anyway, next up, we have Leonard Fournette, who was just recently cut by the Bucs. Oh, to think what we could have drafted instead of Leonard Fournette. We actually have one of those guys, that being Evan Ingram. You know, Leonard Fournette, like, he pissed me off so bad just with how everything went. Like, his 3 years here, he was, for the most part, productive. You know, he had all the potential in the world. But I don't fucking know what's wrong with this guy. It just also feels like this dude has not grown up yet. Like, you know, you heard shit going on in Tampa Bay's training camp and just, you know, I know we need a compliment to ETN, but just no, not him. No, sorry. Can't do it. On the subject of running backs, we also have James Robinson. Now, you know, at the time when we traded James Robinson, I actually was okay with it. Like, I love James Robinson, and I thought it was a pretty good idea to trade him at the time because I figured we weren't re-signing him. I figured he was going to want a fresh start to try and be the starter because, you know, obviously ETN's a star here. So I was thinking, you know, it probably wasn't going to happen. Re-signing him probably wasn't going to happen. And, you know, figure get something for him while we can. Which ended up being a 6th round pick for the Jets. And, of course, I've said this over and over again. Instead of taking Jake Luton, Tyler Davis, or fucking Chris Claybrooks, we could have used that 6th or 7th round pick on him, and then we would have still had him, and because he would still be on a fucking rookie deal. Thank you a lot, and fuck you very much, Dave Caldwell. But as it happened, you know, I figured the Jets would be a one-year stop, but, like, I figured he'd be, like, the featured back. And for whatever reason, the Jets did not play him, like, ever. Which I don't understand what the point of trading for a guy was if you weren't going to play him. But I think that honestly would take his value in free agency down quite a bit to the point where the Jags could possibly sign him. And I thought him and ETN were a good combination together. So maybe if we can get him back on like a cheap 2 or 3 year deal, I would actually love to see J-Rob back. So, and you know, I know we re-signed JaMychal Hasty, and I guess the team likes him or whatever for some reason, but I don't know. I just don't think he's it. Like, I don't think he's absolutely horrendous or anything, but like, I don't know. I just don't think he's, you know, he can get us through games with ETN down. Or when ETN goes down. Because even that game in Baltimore that I was at, the one game where ETN missed the whole fucking game, basically, he didn't really rack up a ton of rushing yards. He had a nice touchdown catch, but he didn't rack up a ton of rushing yards. That was just Trevor Lawrence playing out of his mind why we won that fucking game. So, yeah, would love to see J-Rob back. Next up, we have Dante Fowler. Yep, no, fuck him. Done. Been there, done that. Don't want him back. I don't care if we need pass rushing help. We'll find somebody else. Yeah, fuck him. And, to the previous aforementioned, DJ Chark, who he had a nice combo with, we also have Gardner Minshew, champion of the Elder Gods. So, here's the thing. I selfishly would want Gardner Minshew back as a backup. But the thing is, we know Trevor Lawrence is a top quarterback in the league, and there's no question about it that he's better than Minshew. There's just no question whatsoever. And the thing is, as much as I would love to see him back, I would love to see Gardner Minshew go somewhere where he has an opportunity to play, because I'm still a fan of him. I still want him to do good. I would love to see him go to a team that needs a quarterback, or at least a bridge quarterback that's going to draft somebody, and, you know, him to play good, and, you know, people to finally start giving him looks as a potential starter. So, and also we re-signed Beat Hard for whatever reason, but for those reasons alone, you know, I gotta say, I hope he just goes somewhere else and, you know, has a chance to play. That's really what it is at this point. Next up, it's actually 11 names on this list, sorry. Next up, we have Alan Lazard. And for those of you wondering, wait a minute, he played for the Packers basically his whole career. Yes, he did, but technically he is a former Jaguar because we had him in training camp. You know, he had some good moments in Green Bay. Like, I think he's a pretty good player. But like Chark and Robinson, I can't say he's a number one receiver. So, you know, nothing really much to say on it. I think I'm going to pass on Alan Lazard. Next up, this is a good one. Mercedes Lewis is a free agent with the Green Bay Packers. So, I got to be honest. We know Evan Ingram's the guy at tight end, our starter. But we are potentially losing Dan Arnold and Chris Dickhurst, please God. So that kind of opens the door for number 2 and blocking tight end, something that Mercedes Lewis does very well. And now that the Jags are back in playoff contention, and the Packers, you know, unfortunately, unless Jordan Love turns into fucking Patrick Mahomes, they're probably going to have like a little bit of a setback before they get good again, because Aaron Rodgers is likely gone, and yeah, they got to see what they have in Jordan Love. So so now, now that we're a contender again, and Mercedes Lewis was last here when we were a contender, I think it would make some sense for him to finish his career in Jacksonville, and I think he'd be a nice little addition. So, I'm all for bringing Mercedes back. The final name on this list, the former mayor of Saxonville, Calais Campbell. Now, after we stupidly traded him to the Baltimore Ravens, he's still playing at a pretty decent level. Now, I don't think he'd solve all of the pass rushing issues, but, Arden Key, Dwayne Smoot, they're both free agents. And, Calais had his best years in Jacksonville, honestly. And, I really feel like he wanted to be here more than, he did, whether it was the Cardinals or the Ravens. So, I know this probably won't happen, but man, I would love to see Calais Campbell finish his career here. So, all for Calais Campbell coming back. So, if we can make that happen, I'm 100% on board with that, for sure. But, that's it, that's all. Let me know in the comments who you would want back, or even if I missed anybody. I don't think I did, but if I missed anybody, let me know. And I'm not counting practice squad players like fucking Jake Luton or goddamn Mike Glennon or any of these other sorry-ass bums that we ended up cutting that, had no significance whatsoever. I'm talking about players that have actually, played for Jacksonville and done something. So, yeah. But if I missed anybody, let me know, and let me know who you potentially would want back. But that's it. That's all, people. But go Jags. Do well till I die. I'm gone.